What up, everyone? Good to see you all. So I've been saying for a long time I need to do more videos, and since the monthly subscription boxes are kind of on their way out, yeah, I want to get back into it and do more collectible stuff. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do so. So what we have here today are the Ad Icons Mystery Minis. And I used to do these kind of videos all the time, and I like to make these to do a review, one, but also to help people out with the box layout, and I also have the weights here too, so that might help some people out. I'm a little late to the game. These came out about a month ago, but what else is new? I'm always late to the game. But so this might not be as helpful as if I was there right away, which I am fully aware of, and that's okay. But I'm still hoping that it could be useful to some people, because when I was out there looking for these, there are a few stores that still haven't got them in their initial release of them. So they're still getting drip fed to some stores out there, and some places do still have full cases, seeing as how I just got this one a couple days ago. So that being said, hopefully it is still useful to some people. If not, you can just watch the review. If there is anyone tuning in for the first time, I'm going to put timestamps down in the description, so feel free to skip ahead. So if you just want to see the review, or you just want the box layouts and the weights, I completely understand, like, no harm, no foul. Or if you just don't like hearing me talk at all, that's okay too. You can skip to the end to pretty much any video, and there's always going to be pictures at the end, if applicable, if there are pictures for the review I was doing. So, that being said, feel free to hop around and do whatever. So we'll start off with the review of these figures, and then we'll go into the layout. Now, I'm going to rant here a little bit about, this is all part of the review, by the way, about what I think about these figures in relation to other ones, which makes no sense right now, but let me explain. So, the reason I haven't done a review on mystery minis or box layouts in a while is, things I've said, I've been busy, I've been traveling, all that stuff's true, but even if I wasn't, I probably still wouldn't have been doing them, and that's because they haven't really been good. There hasn't been good quality stuff in a very long time, and some are debatable, but it was never enough to make me go out on the search, to go purchase a whole case, to do all the research, to call up stores and have them set aside. Some of the mystery minis were okay, but not good enough for me to do so. I miss the old days of these ones right up here, the horror and sci-fi ones. Those were fantastic. Those were such good figures, and they never went back to that style. The reason for that is these are very specific artists, and this is how it was with Loyal Subjects and a lot of other companies. They have very specific artists that design entire lines of things. So when they hire a certain artist, they're going to look a certain way, just as regular artists are. If you wanted a painting done, you picked two artists and told them each to paint you a picture of Spider-Man, they both would, but they would look very different. And if you asked them to paint other characters, they'd be very different, but you'd see a common theme there. The same thing with mystery minis. And I mentioned in a video a long time ago that I kind of classified them in different types. So as of now, it's been years since that video, from what I can see, there are 4 different types, roughly. There are some that are kind of outside the lines. There was Type A, which was this series, the horror, sci-fi, mystery minis, where they had a somewhat big head, but they had very long bodies. And they always used this opaque paint style, and I really liked that, and everyone else did too. Now, the only thing we can assume at this point is whoever was doing that series has since been fired or has become too expensive to keep hiring on, because we haven't seen that style in a long time. We saw it for a while around that time, probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and haven't seen it since, and I don't think it's ever going to come back because it was a specific style from that artist. Now, Type B, and I'll hopefully be showing pictures of all these things, are the ones that are just very cartoony looking. They're very big-headed and very small body. And these ones don't have that opaque style. They're mostly just plastic. A lot of the times they don't have paint on them at all. They're just plastic and the little stick-on faces and things like that. And I'm not a fan of that. And especially when we're talking about the Marvel or Star Wars, anytime they've done any of those, they all have to legally be bobbleheads. And I just don't like that. It looks really stupid in a mystery mini, and there's just very little design there, very little paint. I'm always torn too, because I'm such a fan of like Marvel characters, so I do want to collect the mystery minis, but every time I get up close to them, it's like, I'm going to pass on this series too. So that's Type B. Then Type C is the one we see a lot of Disney characters in, and justifiably so, because Type C looks like the little mannequins or dolls, whatever you want to call it, on It's a Small World at Disneyland. They have these very circular heads and these bodies that kind of look like parentheses that are like chubby, wide in the middle, go to some small feet, and then hands that are usually pointed or very short and stubby. And they look like all those dolls that are on It's a Small World. They resemble them very similarly. So, I hate that style too. They just look so dumb. And they all look the same. They all have this cookie cutter shape, and I'm not a fan of that at all. That's Type C. Now, Type D is the final one where I'm kind of lumping in a lot of different series, it's just the easiest way to describe it. Type D would be the kind that doesn't really follow any sort of mold, that doesn't follow the anthropomorphic style. I can't talk. Hold on, dry mouth. What I mean by anthropomorphic style, for those that don't know what that basically means a human shape, where you have a head, you have a body, 2 legs, and 2 arms that are somewhat proportional. That's what it means to be anthropomorphic. So that shape is very common in the other styles because they're always usually human shapes. So they have this cookie cutter thing where they make the figures all a similar shape and just change the colors and the faces. Type D can't do that because a lot of the times those figures aren't anthropomorphic, meaning they aren't a human shape. So for example, the Kool-Aid Man, you know, he's kind of, you can say he's got 2 arms and legs, but he doesn't have a head and body. His body is his head. So he doesn't stab that standard human shape. So they couldn't put him on a figure with a head and a body because it wouldn't make any sense. So what Type D has to do is create completely different molds for each figure they do. Now, we've only seen this a few times from Funko, but this is probably one of my favorite styles. So we saw this in the retro video games one they did with Pac-Man and Mega Man. They had a whole bunch of different characters, but none of them, with the exception of Mega Man, were shaped like humans. So they had to have completely different molds for these figures. But it looks really good because they have to put design into every single figure. Whereas these older series that are all look like humans, they didn't have to design the shape as much. They just had to design the paint job. So I appreciate that. And they also did it with the Warner Brothers series, or Hanna-Barbera, sorry, that had Warner Brothers characters in it. I was a big fan of that series too. And the last one that I can think of was the Dr. Seuss one. But yeah, I was a big fan of the Hanna-Barbera ones. That's probably the last one I actually went out to collect. And those ones, they did a fantastic job because they really made them look like the cartoon characters. So the point I'm trying to make is that Type D isn't a specific style. You can't look at all the figures that they've made from Type D and be like, oh yeah, I see a common thread. I'm just grouping them all in and classifying them as that because they don't follow any mold. When you get a series, each one is completely differently shaped. There is no common thread in any of them. The same with the retro video games, the same with Hanna-Barbera, the same with the Dr. Seuss ones. Each one had a completely different mold and sculpt. So that's what I'm classifying as Type D. So that's my rant. That being said, I'm very happy this kind was in the Type D setting and mold. So I'm a big fan of just ad icons in general. I know that's the coined phrase by Funko, but I always have been. Mascots and things like that. I have very few pop figures. I just don't have that many. For people that have seen the little tour of my room that I have here, I don't have that many. But a lot of the ones I do have are like the ad icons, or mascots and stuff like that. Like I had the Target dog was like one of my favorite ones. I just think, I don't know why, I just think mascots are cool, especially when they represent stores that most of the time didn't realize even had a mascot. And I know they got the like Chester Cheeto coming up, and I'm going to get that one, or the Coca-Cola Bear, or I just got the Pillsbury Doughboy. Like, I don't know. They are very familiar to me, and maybe it's like a nostalgia, childhood type thing. Not really sure. But I've always liked them. So when I saw this series was coming out, I actually was excited for it, but very hesitant, because I've always been excited when they announce things on their website, and then when I see the actual figures, I'm always disappointed. So I end up not getting them. But these ones actually look pretty good. They did individual sculpts on each one, and none of them look similar at all. So they all have their own design quality. So I was pretty excited, and I thought I'd go through with collecting them. Things that bother me are the same things that always bother me when they put these ultra common figures, the 1 of 6 rarity, and you get 2 of each one in each box. I think that sucks. They didn't have that many characters in here, and they really didn't need to do that. Like, if they could have easily designed some more characters and not done 1 of 6, I think that's a waste. I don't know. It's such a bummer when they do that, and I've never been a fan of that. But obviously, Funko wants money, so they're going to keep doing that. But they're screwing themselves because that deters people from buying full cases because they know they're getting duplicates in a new case. So wasn't a fan of that at all. But the good news is that makes me think that they might do a Series 2 of this. Because you'll notice that there's a lot of characters they didn't hit. They hit like some of the breakfast cereal ones, like the Frankenberry and Count Chocula and Boo Berry, and they also got Lucky Charms. But there's a lot of cereals they didn't hit in there, and ones that I know for a fact they have the licenses to because they're currently making pop figures. So like the ones I mentioned, like Chester Cheeto, Pillsbury Doughboy, a lot of the other cereal mascots, the Trix Rabbit, like there's a bunch of them, Toucan Sam, that they've made pops for that they are not in this series. So the good news is that kind of makes it seem like they're probably going to make a Series 2, which I'm all for because I liked it. So that's something that may come from it positively. So yeah, let's talk about the figures specifically and start giving some scores. Oh, sheet. There we go. So first, I'll talk about the paint job on these. And as far as paint, I'm giving this a 7.5 out of 10. And that's because they did a good job on it. Because some of it's painted, but some of it was the stick-on faces that just look like stickers, which usually I'm against. But I'm kind of glad they did that in these series because it just makes it look a lot better. Because a lot of the times when the characters have small eyes and detail in the eyes, that's where their paint job gets really shitty. So I usually don't encourage them to use stickers because it looks cheap. But I kind of like that they did that with the eyes on these characters. I don't know. To me, it just kind of seemed fitting versus trying to paint it on and making the eyes look wonky or something like that. But luckily, that was the only thing that was stick-on. The actual outfits and things like that to the characters are mostly painted, and from what I can see, they did a pretty good job. Funko's been known for doing really terrible paint jobs. A perfect example is these little X-Men mystery minis up here. Absolutely horrible. It looked terrible. The paint was all over the place, with splatters and stuff. So it looks like they're doing a little bit better on quality control with the paint, because I got in there and it seemed to follow the lines and curves pretty well. So I think they noticed from people like me making videos about how terrible the paint job is, I think they've stepped their game up, and I think intentionally so. And I don't mind that they use stickers for the eyes. So that's kind of why it's getting a 7.5, because they did a good job. Everything looks good. Everything looks clean. But, you know, it's nothing crazy impressive. There's no immaculate paint job on there, and they did go the easy way by using stickers on the eyes. So it's good, but nothing impressive. So, right, it's that top half, but kind of in the middle, 7.5. Next, the sculpt on these. This I'm actually giving it a 9 because, like I said, this Class D is all the figures have a different sculpt. Everyone has a different shaped body. All the things in there, like there's nothing they replicated. They didn't even use like the same hands and characters, which I know companies will do. Most of the time, companies will take any shortcut that they can. So anytime they can reuse a mold, saves them a ton of money. So, but they didn't seem to do that at all, at least not from what I can see. Everyone has a different shape. Everyone was a good representation of that character. And the molds are pretty clean here. There's not like a lot of random seams. There's some, but it seemed like it was done really well. And everything, as far as the sculpt, seems good to me. So I'm pretty happy about that. Again, the only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because the molds on these aren't crazy complicated. So to get like a perfect score, you'd have to do something impressive. To have a mold that is very detailed and elegant and things like that to really get that impressive factor. But other than that, since they didn't do that much, but other than that, everything looks good. Everything looks clean, and nothing's falling off, nothing's too delicate. So I think they did a really good job on the sculpts on that. 9 out of 10. So the last score is the design and concept. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 here because I liked it. I think they did a good job. And what's impressive from these companies is there's not an exact representation of these characters that look like that. If you'll go to the commercials they're in, they actually don't look this way. So they did add their own design element into it, like the Lucky Charms elf. He's never looked like this. He looks like kind of like an anime character in the sculpt. And all the the commercials, he looks very cartoony. He just looks very different. So I kind of like, I wouldn't have minded if they did it exactly like that, because that's what they did with the Hanna-Barbera series. They did like pretty much an exact representation of that character, and they did a good job. This one, they kind of added their own design element and quality to it, because they kind of tried to go with that big head and medium-sized body, kind of like Type B for Mystery Minis. There are a few of them where they tried to go that direction, but I'm glad they didn't with all of them. So that shows that they did come up with their own designs for these characters, which makes it different and interesting, but they still kept in line with the core elements of that character. So they did a good job carrying it over. Because a lot of times when companies design their own versions of a character, the essence of that character is lost. The things that were recognizable to make that character recognizable are lost and not translated when they change the shape. But they seem to do a good job here. Every character in there was very recognizable for what they were, even though they did their own spin on that character. And they did their own design and didn't go the cheap way by making them all that cookie cutter shape. Each one has its own design element. So that's why it gets an 8 out of 10. So overall, total score is right around an 8, just over. It's like 8.16 or something like that. But we'll say 8 out of 10 total score. So, good job. Like I said, most of the Mystery Mini-series I've been seeing in the past are just not impressive. Either I don't like the franchises, which that's nobody's fault, but even when I do like them, like the Marvel ones and Avengers and stuff, the design on them is so piss poor. They're just very cheap looking. They don't even look like collectibles. They just more look like kids' toys. And then you add the bobblehead element into it, and just they don't look good. They're just cheaply done. It's just not impressive at all. There's so much better quality stuff out there. So I like it when they do this Type D style and do their own molds and things like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. And we don't see it often. Like I said, Hanna-Barbera, Dr. Seuss, the retro video game one. I'm sure there's one I'm missing, but not often. Like once a year, if even that. And I'm guessing because it's so expensive to do. So I hope they do a series 2. And I also hope they hire this guy back because he did good shit. Hire that guy back. Alright. Now on to the layout weights portion of the video. And this isn't too complicated. I don't have a lot of shit to talk about. It's mostly just showing it. So feel free to have skipped ahead to this. So I'll give you a quick look at this. So for people that just care about that, can just get a quick look and don't have to look at me for more than 10 seconds. They can just skip through and not hear my voice. Even though I'm talking while showing. Pissing them off. Alright, so there it is. And we'll walk through it in case my writing isn't clear. Now you can listen to this part. So the funny thing about this is that Funko's getting smarter now. When they first had their figures come out, it was very simple to figure out where figures were. Each one was very clearly in the same spot in every box. And I think, again, because of people like me trying to help people out, they kind of caught on to that and realized they were making it too easy for people, and then people were just picking the ones they want and not buying the rest of that case, which is bad for business. If people only pick out the 3 rare ones, that's 9 figures they're just never going to sell, and then are going to sit in the store and end up on clearance. So I think they've been trying to beat that, but they're not going to beat me, because I'm too smart for them. But the point is that I think they're trying to mix it up, because I did my research before, and the box layouts I watched were nothing like this. But there's a way around that. Each case, you'll see it says case F up there. I think there was A, B, C, D, E, F, so 6 different types of cases out there. Now here's the good thing and bad thing about that. If you know the case type, you can find a video that has that same type and find the box layout perfectly. Bad news is that the label that says what case it is on the brown shipper that's on the outside of the case, which most people never get their hands on, which is unfortunate. Most of the time when you see them in stores, you're lucky to see a full case in general that hasn't been picked through, but you're never going to go into a store and see one still in the brown shipper. They take it out to put it on display. The only way you're going to get that one is if you buy them in mass quantities, or you have a hookup at a store. Like if you'd pre-ordered them, or you just know someone that's putting it in the stockroom, that's the only way you might be able to get a factory sealed one. Because as far as I know, Funko doesn't sell the full cases on their website, I don't think, with some exceptions. So you have to see the brown shipper to see that, which most people don't, but hopefully you do. Anyway, this is case F. The other ones I saw were like the traditional layout. Most of the time throughout history, it was the commons on the top, and there was like 3 rare ones. 2 of them 1 of 24, and the third one either 36 or 72. That's been the common layout for years. And it was usually up front, then they moved it to the back, but it was always hopping around on there because that's what's easiest for them to do. When they have these magic arm grab things, it's easier just to switch out some and put the rare ones right on top. Now they're kind of getting smart to that. Most of the videos I watched were like that. This one was not. Most of them had the front 2 common, super common, 1 of 6, and the front 2 on the bottom, 1 of 6 as well. And then most of the other ones had a corner where it was this like back, I think left corner, where it was 2, 1 of 24, and the very back corner was 1 of 36, 72. So if you want my opinion, that's your best bet because that's what I've seen most often. This was a rare occasion where this Case F, I don't think I've seen anyone else unbox a Case F, and it turned out like this. And that was being, there was a rare one on the top. So we had Frankenberry, Lucky Charms, damn it, Frankenberry, Lucky Charms, Bazooka Joe, Jolly Green Giant, and 2 Count Chocolates in the front. This seemed to be the common thread. It seems like the front 2 are 1 of 6 every video I've watched. But there was a rare 1 of 24 over here with Bazooka Joe, but no other ones. The rest were common. I've also seen in the Specialty series that has the metallic Jolly Green Giant still in the same spot on that top right mid side. So I've seen that as a common thread. Now going to the bottom, usually, like I was saying, the 1 of 6 from the front. This time they were moved to the back. So the Bob's Big Boys 1 of 6 were in the back row. And then we got Twinkie, Fruit Pie, King Ding Dong, and Kool-Aid. So we had the other 1 of 24 directly below the 1 of 24 on top. And then adjacent to it on the other mid side, right bottom, we had that's the rarest one. You're either going to get 1 of 36 or 1 of 72. I happen to get Fruit Pie, so I'm guessing he goes along with Twinkie and Bazooka Joe. And from what I've seen in other unboxings, that's usually the case. If you're getting Fruit Pie, you're getting the Twinkie the Cowboy and Bazooka Joe along with them as your 1 of 24s. And then the 2 commons in the front. So yeah, and I've got the weight in there on grams because ounces is is not specific enough. So hopefully you could read all those ounces. But I'm not a big fan of the weight though because people don't realize that weight can vary. There are very often figures that are very similar in weight. Like here, Frankenberry was 60 grams and Fruit Pie was also 60 grams. So that's why I usually don't trust the weight chart thing because they often weigh the same, and even if they're off by an ounce or so, a gram or so, that can change. Something as simple as the plastic wrap on there, being either the thick kind or the thin kind, could change the weight very minorly. And even when I was weighing them, when I was writing these numbers down, it still fluctuated 1 gram because it's just so sensitive and the scales aren't perfect. So I never liked trusting the weight, but if someone is looking for a specific figure that is heavy, like Kool-Aid Man, he's heavy. Like, he's super obvious, but you could probably feel it on your own without a scale. But if you're looking for something specific, I did the weights just in case because, you know, why not? It's not it doesn't hurt me at all, and it might help someone out there. And the rest of the videos I've seen out there haven't put in the weights either, and I never have before, so I'm going to start doing that now. Again, hopefully that's helpful to someone. If it's helpful to no one, sorry I tried, but hopefully this information will help you, and I'll do the best to put that in the description. So, I hope this was helpful to you. I hope this was at least interesting to watch. I hope that you got something out of it, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. I know I'm not here to just run my own mouth, because honestly, I wouldn't want to hear me talk this much. It's just not that interesting. So that's why I try to be helpful. I try to help with the box layouts. I try to give you the weights. I try to give a review on them if you're interested in them, and try to relate them to other relatable things. So I hope I've helped out in some way. If I haven't, let me know what I can do. If there's something you want to know, there's something you're curious about, if it's within my power, I will absolutely add that to any video. Other than that, I'm glad to be doing more videos now, and I've got another one coming up. So the next one I'm going to do, as soon as I get more time, is just my weekly roundup that I used to do, which was by no means weekly, and it's still not going to be. I'm going to have to come up with a creative title for it. If anyone has 2 cents to throw and you want to come with a cool title, go for it. And it's basically just my pickups that usually people say from the week or the month. I've been meaning to do more social media. I've been meaning to get on Instagram because there's still the Beardy Nerd Instagram, but I've been having trouble connecting it to my Facebook page because it keeps wanting to connect to my personal Facebook page and not the channel Facebook page because it's a fan page. So that's been difficult, and plus I can never remember. I'm so bad at remembering about it. With videos it's easier, but on Instagram it's so hard for me to remember to post it, and I have things piling up. So I'm just going to go through them. I'm just going to do a video, and hopefully I'll have time to post it on social media, but if not, we'll have a video here, and I'll try to do them regularly about things I get throughout the week, things I found, things I like, things I appreciate, things I want to see, and that can get some discussion going in the comments. Things you'd like to see, opinions you have about things, or if you like things, or where to find things, maybe I can help you out with that. So to sum up, I'm trying to be helpful as much as possible. Other than that, thank you for watching and supporting. I'm still going to do the ultimate unboxings. Those are going to happen, but I'm just trying to do more videos because those are so scarce as it is. And like I said, people that haven't heard, Loot Crate has filed for bankruptcy. They're not officially out of business at this point, but it seems like it's not far off, and that's what I've been saying the whole time. These companies are falling away, but the good news is collectibles are not going to do the same. Just because there's not monthly subscription boxes doesn't mean we can't find cool shit. So that's what's in the future, so you have at least one more video to look forward to. Other than that, thank you for watching and supporting. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video. Love you all. Peace.